So we're back again with our questions and answers on online banking security. So what do we have?
Our community. So you guys know a lot about the issue. Could you share with us tips on how to protect yourself when you're using online banking or online shopping? What precautions do you take?
Right. All right. Let me tell you how I do online banking when I'm paying my bills. Typically, I'm doing it from a Windows workstation with a VMware running a read-only Ubuntu image in which I boot Firefox and do my banking from there. And then when I exit Ubuntu, the image is back to where it used to be. I feel it's fairly safe. I could see ways around it. But of course, this isn't the way the average user or your grandmother should be doing online banking. It's maybe a tad too complicated. So what do you think? What would be practical advice?
Depends on where on the world you are. So in the USA, for example, when I do online banking, it's really to check the balance and to transfer funds between different accounts within that same bank. Here in Finland, you might log into the bank to actually pay a bill, to push it to the power company. In the States, I go to the power company and I pull it from the bank. So online banking, my methodologies are different, but typically one thing that I do, regardless of whether it's a US bank account or a Finnish bank account, I use a particular browser. I install multiple browsers because they're free. I have a browser that's pretty much locked down. You can launch them in safe mode, so there's no plugins. Right. And it's not something that I'm just browsing the web and could pick up something that tries to attach itself to the browser. So, I mean, everybody's got their favorite web browser, and then they seem to never make a choice again once they've adopted one. Right. But I've got 3 that I use frequently.
And I've heard of people doing the same thing, not just with banks, but have a separate browser for Facebook, which means they're only logged into Facebook with one browser, and the other browser that they use to browse the rest of the web isn't linked to that at all, and then the third browser for the bank only. So
when I do my Google accounts, Gmail, do YouTube with Chrome, because it's already Google anyway, and,
right, there you go.
And it's my Google appliance in a way. So actually,
and this also works nicely because some of the online banks require you to have Java, and Java in general in the browser is a bad idea because of all the Java exploits. But if you have a separate browser and that's the only browser which has the Java plugin, and you only use it to do online banking, there's no risk in that. You just don't surf around into random sites with the same browser, and there's no risk.
Yeah. So I mean, you could actually, and some banks, I guess, depending on how old they are, their systems, they might render better in IE, but if IE is only used for your online banking, you don't do anything else with it. You do all your banking, or rather web browsing through Chrome or something. I don't know, they're free. Browsers are free, segregate it, make them appliances as opposed to catch-all utilities, and it's, I think, better banking that way.
Yeah, that's very true. And we have to remember, these attacks are not attacks against the bank. They're attacks against the bank's customers. So the attackers aren't trying to break into the bank. They aren't trying to break into the bank's website. It's not risky to visit bank's website. The problem is that you visit another website and you get infected from there, and that will then modify your computer when you go to the bank's website. So the banks are not the target, it's the bank's customers, you and me. And that's why we have to make sure we don't get hit by these banking trojans like Zeus and SpyEye, which are the real problem for the majority of the users of these online banks. All right, so what about the shopping part? How do you secure online shopping?
Well, for my online shopping, I have a technology out of the States when I buy things from Amazon.com and have it shipped that was originally, I guess, created by MBNA, which is nowadays owned by Bank of America.
So you're using special technology from Bank of America?
Right, from Bank of America, but it's, I guess there's hundreds of banks at least that have this, and it's a one-time credit card. I guess it's
virtual credit card.
Yeah, it's Safe Bank something or another, but you can go launch it, and it will then generate a 16-digit credit card number, its own security codes. You can choose the expiration date, you can even choose a balance, And then once you use it with a particular vendor, it's kind of locked into that vendor.
Right. So you get a virtual credit card which doesn't actually exist in the real world at all for every single vendor you work with.
Right. So Amazon has one of these, and I've set the expiration for a year, and then I put like a few $100 balance on it. So if there's a database breach in Amazon, I kill the card, and I don't really worry about somebody having a shopping spree.
Right.
I mean,
right. And even if somebody gains access to that card has his own limit, they can't just empty your account with the card. That's very clever. I would really love to see this kind of technology to go to every single
Europe, but yeah, you can use PayPal and or gift cards is another thing. So if I have the opportunity, if I don't have the ability to use a one-time password or one-time number on a website, I will then instead buy a gift card from that vendor, and then just limit that credit card usage to that one-time transaction, and then carry a balance. So iTunes is an easy way to do that, for example.
And I like PayPal as well. People aren't really sure whether PayPal is safe or not, but PayPal is nice because when you purchase something from a random store you've never heard before, you don't really want to give them your credit card number, but if you pay with PayPal, they never get your credit card information. PayPal already has your credit card information, and PayPal will just tell the merchant that, you know, this guy has the money, and you will get the goods, and they will never get any extra details from you. And I recommend PayPal for purchases like that.
Yeah, and so does a colleague who's, I think, one of the forum administrators in community, actually. He bought some headphones with his credit card. The shop was reputable, but the third-party transaction vendor in the back end was compromised, and so his credit card number was taken that way. So the shop was legit, their business was legit, he got his headphones, and it wasn't their fault, but it was the third-party processor that was compromised. And so he had started using PayPal religiously, as much as he could. I think he flies Lufthansa now because they support PayPal where other airlines don't, and he never has to put his number out there again.
And I wouldn't be too worried about this. Like, you know, we really shouldn't stay away from the net just because there are criminals on the net, and we really shouldn't stay away from online shopping just because you might lose your credit card.
Waiters will take your credit card to go pay for a bill in the States quite easily, and around the corner when they're doing the transaction, they write everything down. That is the most common way that credit card numbers can be stolen. Online shopping is a lot safer.
And if you just read your statements, even if the worst thing happens and somebody steals your credit card number and goes on a shopping spree, you'll see it from your statement, and when you complain back to the bank, you get your money back.
Credit card is important because debit cards are a whole different consumer protection law class of beast, and credit cards have consumer protections for when there's fraud, whereas debit cards can differ between banks. So credit card statements.
So use your Visa, use your MasterCard, use your American Express, and read your statements, and you're good to go.